Alright y'all, we'll make a video here today. Anyway, we're finally getting some much needed rain. We got a little shower here this morning, and they're calling for some more tomorrow. But anyway, I don't know how many points will be in this video, but the purpose of this video is things that you should do when you first start homesteading. Maybe you're buying a new piece of land and going to homestead, or maybe you've already got a place or own a place and you're going to try starting doing some things. But anyway, here's maybe some tips. Number one is going to be start composting pretty much before you do anything else. It's not going to require a big place of land to do. It's not going to require really a lot of anything. You will just need a spot in the edge of the yard or field or something like that you can start packing this stuff. Old hay that is organic. It hadn't had any chemicals sprayed on the land, like Grazon or Grasson or whatever, being one thing. Your yard clippings. I would like to have a lawnmower with a grass catcher, but I don't, so I just get a little bit every now and then when it piles up. Not as much as I need to, but I get a little bit. Your cardboards. There's really a lot of things you can compost. You don't want to do plastic. Some people says you can meat, some say you can't. I'm gonna say maybe it depends on what you're gonna do with it. If you're gonna spread it on the garden to grow food out of it, or if you're gonna pack it down on the land, or if it's gonna be 2 or 3 years before you can garden, it's probably gonna be all right. But anyway, you can compost a lot of stuff. There's people that know a lot more about it than me on YouTube. But your kitchen scraps, old vegetables that go bad, your vines out of the garden, your grass, your hay, cardboard, lots of organic things like that. And that'll work well for you. Coming back here, number 2, I would say start your, I think some people call it permaculture, something like that. But by that I mean like fruit trees, strawberries, grapes, things like that, stuff that comes back every year. We have a lot of wild blackberries around here too, but I like the tame ones. I'm trying to get a batch of tame ones going, so you get bigger yields off of them, bigger berries, and you don't have to fight those thorns and stuff. But apple trees, pear trees, peach trees, all of your orchard stuff, that's a good idea to do first, because it takes a really long time to get anything. This tree here is going on its 3rd year now. I think we planted it 2 years ago in the springtime, so next spring I believe it'll be about 3 years. It had 1 apple last year on the whole tree. This year it's got a few more, but it hadn't had an abundance. But just kind of doing its thing. It's a long process. That's why I say go ahead and get them in. All right, next item on the list is going to be decide exactly what you're planning on doing and when you're planning on doing it. If you're going to garden, you need to go ahead and map out your spot and get ready to till it up or if you're doing a no-till method, then you need to figure out how to best do that. So figure out what all you want to grow, what kind of space, what kind of thing you need to grow it with, and all that fun stuff. Also, tacked on to that would be figure out livestock. If you're going to start with chickens, start with goats, sheep, cows, whatever. You need to figure that out. Have a plan of how many you want, what you want, and how you need to go about housing and containing them. Now, you can say you want, 100 cows and 50 goats. That's fine. That's thinking real long term down the road type of stuff. So figure out if you got the land for that, and if not, maybe it's some nearby land that you can rent and be able to do all of that. But I always suggest starting out with chickens, and I used to think that goats were a good starting homestead animal, but I don't think so anymore. I always heard that you get a goat, stick it out in the pen or tie it to a tree somewhere and let it do its thing. It eats all the old bushes and thorns that nothing else will eat, and you ain't got to worry about it. Well, that is a lie. That is a flat out lie. We thought that. We started with a couple goats and we grew a little bit from there. But as the goats get older, a year or so or more, they're not as much trouble. But when they're young, man, every time you turn around, they've got something wrong with them. Between worms and parasites, we actually just lost our goat that we got as a bottle baby. She was not quite a year old yet, but she got Coccidia real bad, and we just thought it was normal worms to begin with, and we treated her for that. And then we had somebody that come down that really knew about goats, said she had Coccidia, and told us a bunch of things to do for her and everything like that, but she was just too far gone. And it is what it is. They said some of the problem is on us, feeding hay on the ground and things like that they are picking up the Coccidia parasite through the feces on the ground, the manure, mixing in with their hay, where goats and stuff, they just trample it and lay on it and play in it and do all those things. So we got to build some kind of little thing to keep it up off the ground where they can't do that, where they have to eat it out of, hay rack type deal. So anyway, before I ramble too far, don't let the goat being easy deceive you. I'm not telling you not to get it and not to get it as a starting animal, but definitely do your research on goats. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube. There's a lot of stuff online. There's a bunch of groups on places like Facebook and all that. But anyway, here we go. I suggest start with chickens. You can start with just a little bit of upfront cost, a little bit of, it doesn't have to be an extravagant pen or coop or anything you want to do like that. They're expensive, but you can get the pre-made ones like Tractor Supply for like $300, but they're only going to hold about 2 or 3 chickens. But yeah, do what you want to do on that. But anyway, this stuff, fencing is expensive. So take that into consideration. Do your best to map out what you need. In my area here in Virginia, these wooden posts here, nothing extravagant. They're a little bit over $5 a piece, and that's the smaller ones. The bigger ones, which this one's kind of borderline, but you can get them, say almost twice the size of this one. They're about $6 and change. This wire right here, the woven wire, cattle pen wire, if you get the goat stuff, it's more expensive, but the spacing is closer together so they don't stick their head and horns through so much. Kind of the whole wire has got about this spacing in it right here instead of up here at the top. But anyway, Tractor Supply around here, 330 foot roll of that is going to run you $170. We've got about 10 rolls of this wire for what we've got, you know, here and there, what you've seen on other videos. These metal posts here, they're $4.19 a piece, and you need a bunch of them. The way we do it is about a post every 6 foot of wire space, and it adds up to about 55 posts per roll of wire, so you're looking at a good chunk of money there. Then you got, of course, gates. They run you different prices, anywhere from like $100 for that little gate over there, a little 4-foot walk-through gate, about $100 on up to, you know, 200 or so, or maybe a little bit more over for the bigger ones. So I'm getting rained on. Y'all probably can't see, but we got a little shower coming in. Let me turn the camera. Maybe you can see a little bit there. Yeah, looking through the trees, but anyway, it's a good thing. I aerated the pasture earlier, so hopefully it'll soak up some of this water. All right, so now we got the livestock and all that out of the way. Figure out what type of operation you're going to be doing, how big it's going to be, what tools you need. I mean, hand tools are expensive. Shovels and rakes and hoes and post hole diggers. I got a Cobalt post hole digger set, was about $100, maybe a little bit over $100. But anyway, let's see. Excuse the junk I haven't been able to clean up. I've been had other priorities going on, but lawnmower over there. You're probably going to need some kind of way to mow the lawn. And you can also get a tractor that has a mower deck on it, or a finishing deck, so you can cut down on having to have so much equipment. But hey, now this here is another consideration. This was a really good little tractor. It served a lot of purposes, being the size that it is. 4-wheel drive, good garden tractor. Problem is, it's old. They didn't make a lot of them. Parts are harder to find and typically more expensive. And I definitely didn't get as much run time out of it as we paid for it. Right now the motor's messed up, and I got a guy that's gonna try to fix it for me sometime, and depending on if it tore the head up or not, but it dropped a valve. So rebuild kit for that thing is $700 if you can get by with that and not have to do head work or find a head, which they only made that tractor 2 or 3 years. So you can imagine what finding a head for something like that is going to be. Now, we ended up getting this. It is definitely more expensive, but we got a loader, quick attach bucket, 43 horsepower, 4-wheel drive, all of that good stuff. So we definitely got a lot more capability with that. I'm not telling you to buy new equipment, but I'm not telling you not to either, because if you're planning on doing it long term, you're going to have a lot of things that you could use something like that for. Moving hay for cows and livestock, bucket for shoveling their stalls, pallet forks for unloading feed, stuff like that. You may just be better off to buy a new one. A lot of times you can make payments on it cheaper than you can buy something old, and you can repair it. And I mean, even buying them used, they're not real cheap no way, so consider that. So we got this side by side here. We had this before we started the farm, you know, riding around with family and stuff like that, so we already had it. So we've used it for a lot of things. That's something to consider. You don't always have to have a tractor to homestead. If you're not going to be moving round bales and stuff like that, you can you know, get away with one of them probably, and you know, you can still move, where'd it go? There we go. Feed, you can move compost, you can move whatever, square bales, stuff like that. It's got a manual dump bed on it, 4-wheel drive. I pull the aerator with it. I pulled the trailer around when we had doing the fence. We had all the fence stuff piled on the trailer. It was definitely a load for it, and way more than I should have done with it, because that was heavy. But it done it, so whatever. But those are some things that I think you need to consider when first getting into homesteading or looking at a place to do it. Oh, that and storage space. Until I got into farming, I had no idea how important sheds and pole barns and stuff were, because when you got something like this, you want to keep it under a shed. Honestly, I like to have the red tractor and the side-by-side and everything under a shed, but we just ain't got that kind of space at the moment. We probably will be building more sheds in the future, but yeah. This is probably not an all-encompassing video, because it'd be really hard to do, because there's so much that goes into homesteading and small farming. Also, it depends on what type you want to do, what your interest is, and your environment and everything like that. So I think that's some general tips that may help you, may benefit you. Hopefully it does, and share it around with somebody you think might need to see it. And other than that, that's about all I got. Stay prayed up, prepped up, and strapped up. See ya.